All right, we are green. Welcome back, my brothers and sisters, my freedom-loving family members across this incredible nation. It's go time. My phone started ringing today. That means something. We're going to walk through the entire thing. This is the update, where we are, where we've been, where we're going for the suppressor removal from the NFA, from the HPA, the short act updates, the sections that we need added in, the go-dos, the plan of attack that we can do, whether you're red state or blue state. This is that video. So if you are watching and you watch on the rerun later, or you're watching live now, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on, and send this everywhere. We're going to have a very busy, very, very accelerated June, as I'm about to walk you through the entire timetable right now. So everything will be linked in the description box below. I always bring you the receipts. And like I said, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on, because it's go time. That's the best I can tell you. And as you're filtering in here, make sure you guys check out our new limited time design shirts. Uncle Sam is pissed. We the people are pissed. And we're coming for our freaking rights. There's a link in the description box below. This is made and facilitated by 9 Line, a veteran focused company. And you look good while you're basically wearing what you believe, because we're coming for our rights. And this video is just the beginning of an entire month of proving that point, because suppressors will be jailbroken. All right, as I mentioned, everything will be linked, including the link to buy the shirt for yourself. And let's get into it. Beautiful people. All right, listen, as we filter in here, I'm going to be doing a lot of work and notification and awareness through my X account at Braden LOA. That's how I'm going to direct a lot of you to the information that we're going to have. It's a very quick turnaround time to activate instantly. All right. So at Braden LOA on X, let me get into this. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of an unusual video. I've got some notes here. I can tell you some things. I can't tell you other things, but I'm going to give you everything that I can, and then I've got a few supporting points, which I'll bring up in a second. I'm just going to leave that there for a moment. So here's where we're at on the update, and I'm just going to run through this entire thing so you guys can share this out and you know where we stand. Currently, the HPA, or the Hearing Protection Act, has passed out of the House. That's very important. It is no longer involved in the House. It is out. It is gone. It is on to the Senate. And over the past week and a half, I told you prior that they were going to be doing backroom dealings and backroom conversations, and everything was going to go away from the cameras for about a week to a week and a half until the time came right to bring it forward. We're getting into that point. The calls that I got today were indicating that that time is starting. We are fully in the process of who's going to do what, where everything's going to line up, and the planning out of the entire thing, okay? So the suppressors are inside the Hearing Protection Act under Section 2 of that Hearing Protection Act. Passed, out, gone, good. It's going to the Senate. More on that in 1 second. Now, the next step that we have to go to in the Senate is the committees. Now, the committees are important because if the committees are basically, the committees are the same thing we saw in the House. You have to get it through the committees in order to push this out to the Senate as a whole. So that's in front of us. Where the amendments and the debate happens are in the committees, as I just mentioned. The steps you can take now for you guys, the viewers and the activists, to push this over, and this is really important. You guys call both of your senators. You all got two. Some are blue, some are red. This is really important. Even if you live in a blue state, hold on. The reason this is important to call every one of your own senators is to build energy and momentum around the Hearing Protection Act and adding in the Short Act. That has to happen in committee through the amendments. That's what I was just mentioning a second ago. That's where we're going with this, okay? That's the next steps. I'm going to walk you through the timeline in a second, which will kind of bring that a little bit more clear. Now, when you're calling both your senators, and again, I've got a solution for blue states too, don't worry. When you're calling both of your senators, you have to be very specific what you're asking for. You're asking for the preservation of the Hearing Protection Act, Section 2, which is the removal of suppressors from the NFA, and Section 3. This is really important. Section 3 is the provision we need to insulate the states from suppressor fallout when this becomes a thing. Okay? Section 3 is the inclusion, which basically makes all the states that have relevant data or relevant laws that are contingent on the NFA, it insulates individuals in those states. Section 3 is incredibly important. Preserve Section 2, push Section 3, and then, of course, the Short Act as well. If you're in a blue state and your senators are crap, which is completely possible, engage on X, the force multiplication that X offers you as a viewer to tag me, tag Pam Bondi, tag the Trumpster, tag whoever you want, GOA, NAGR, I don't care. But the point is, X has the ability to magnify your impact, even if you're in a blue state. I mean, personally, I say still call the blue state senators just to give them something to do and make them actually earn their pay. But anyway, whatever. If you believe that they're not going to do anything and just ignore you, X is an incredible magnification tool. Huge, amazing. We'll be grinding on X a lot on that. Now, this next part, and then I'm going to bring in the next little tabs I've got here. As you're going into this, you have to understand the timeline. Trump wants this bill signed by July 4th. Okay, so July 4th is in 3.5 weeks. If you're looking at 3.5 weeks from now, here's what has to happen. The Senate committees, which haven't started yet, have to start and conclude. That's where all the amendments and everything happens. They have to get to the Senate birdbath. They have to go to the Senate floor for reconciliation. They have to go back to the House for conference vote. And then they have to go to the president for signage. All of those things have to happen in 3.5 weeks. So it's going to start going from 0 to 60 very quickly. Senate committees are Republican controlled. And this is the part I'm going to start bringing in my tabs here in a second. The Senate is completely controlled by Republicans, so all the committees are also controlled by Republicans. In order to do what Giffords.org did today, where they said, Republicans in swing states, you better not vote for suppressors and amend it out of the bill, that means the Republican committees would have to do that, which is interesting, and I'm going to come back to that in 1 second. So that's why they're targeting that, because they know from today, just like I told you, it's indicative of something. Let's keep going. Also interesting, for the bird rule, more on this later. I told you with this, the Giffords.org thing. This is the location that they can add Section 3 and the Short Act, all in the committees. That's when we have the calls, that's when we have the X engagement, that's when we have the emails. It's time to get cranking and rolling. Clearly, the notifications for YouTube aren't working right now, but send this one out just to overcome that, please. Now, the final thing here, the bird rule, and this is the really big point. When you are sending these things out, you have to be able to articulate the fact that it is a tax. The NFA is a tax. That's the reason over the last week I did multiple creative pieces of content that were articulating the Attorney General saying it was a tax in 1934. That's why GOA did content saying with the Supreme Court, it's a tax. That's why we are building the energy behind it's a tax. It is a tax. The second that it is identified as a tax and is accepted as a tax, the second it gets by the bird rule. That's the whole point. That's incredibly important. We are pushing towards it being a tax because that final barrier, that's the one we're overcoming, and it is very clearly a tax, a very important piece. And if you're not familiar, the budgetary rule, the bird rule is a budgetary rule in the Senate, and you have to establish the NFA as a tax to get past it, spread the videos we created. All that will be on my X, which I will bring forward. And also noteworthy, Giffords didn't hit the bird rule today, only the Republicans. That is where we go back to exactly what I was saying with my tabs. Do you guys remember on this video that I did earlier when I talked about, oh, I'm not on that right tab. Hold on a second. Come on, where are you at, guy? It's not actually flipping over. There's the video that we did earlier on. Good Lord, what is going on with YouTube right now? It is dying. Goodness gracious. Let me hide that for a second. Do you guys remember when we did the video this morning for Giffords.org? Are we working yet? Are we working yet? Yeah, we're just not going to work. Fine, it's going to be a pain in the butt. So what we're dealing with, there we go. This right here was them targeting Republicans in the swing states. This was Giffords.org saying, hey, battlefield Republicans or battle state Republicans, you sure don't want to lose, do you? And they were going after the Republicans. That's interesting because you're always going to target where the weakest point is if you're in opposition to freedom on this, right? So if the weakest point was the bird rule, they would target the bird rule. They didn't. And that was this morning. They're going after the Republicans, which indicates they think the weakest point is the Republicans. That's incredibly important because if they were going to go after it and it was the weak point, they would have, trust me. And now, let me get you back to this one right here. This is a very important piece, and you're going to see a lot of these things right here. I said this earlier this week. Suppressor removal is directly tied to all the gamesmanship that is beginning. You got to call your senators, follow and share me on X at Braden LOA, and be involved in X if you're in a blue state. Pay attention and be involved the whole month of June. This is why you're going to see a whole lot of this.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think as everybody knows, the Senate Republicans are prepared to do our part on reconciliation. We're anxious to have the ball and to run with it. We think that the bill as passed by the House and with the way the opportunity the Senate has to make some modifications to it to strengthen and improve it will be something that will make this country more safe and people in this country more prosperous. And so we're anxious to get to work on it. It addresses, as you know, a number of issues. It talks about modernizing our military, making America energy dominant, securing our border, and making sure that the American people aren't faced with a $4.5 trillion tax increase at the end of this year. Not to mention significant savings achieved by the deficit reduction measures that are included in the bill. So those are all things that are part of the reconciliation bill that the Senate will be taking up and ultimately voting on. We have a planned, obviously, schedule in which to complete it, and we will try and stay on that. But obviously, we were going to take a lot of input from our members and make sure that as we go through this process, it's done in a way that incorporates the views of Republican senators.
Okay, this guy is the leader of all the Republicans in the Senate. He just said there's going to be a vote. Okay, he wanted to get the viewpoints of all the senators. That's what I was telling you was happening the last week and a half, was all the behind-the-scenes stuff. That was every senator saying what they like and they don't like. That's why you see Republicans going out on camera right now saying they do and they don't like certain pieces. From all the sources that I have, we are going to continue pushing this forward. Section 2 in the Hearing Protection Act, keep it in there, preserve it for all your senators. Section 3 needs to be added to preserve the states, and when this wins, it doesn't set people in other states up for failure. I think the number is 16 states. Section 3 is very important. Then adding the Short Act. You do those three things, the next stop is the Byrd Rule, of which we reinforce on X consistently time and again that NFA is a tax. Suppressors through the NFA are a tax. You're going to see all of this on X like crazy. We're going to pump this like just absolute bananas because this is a generational opportunity. That's the update that we have right now. Section 2, preservation of HPA. HPA Section 3, add it. Short Act, add it. That's it. If you're in blue state, go with X, and if you're in a red state, call your senator, because we have 54 votes in the Senate, along with a tiebreaker in J.D. Vance, the vice president. We're looking good. I can never tell you what's going to happen in the end, but we're going to grind like we have never ground before, because this is incredibly important. All right, guys, send this one out. It looks like the notifications simply did not go out for this video, and make sure you spread this, because these are the next steps that we have to pass the blessing of the Second Amendment on to the next generation, with a little bonus of some hearing protection. That's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments field, and I will see you on the next one.